Here's a really good view of the bonus room as it sits as a staging area with all the materials that we're going to be using to build it out. And if you look right in the center of the room there is my arm saw with a 2x6 sitting on top of it, and that is because we are in the process at this point putting the ceiling joists in, which are going to hold up the drywall for the ceiling. So I believe these were about 6 foot 6 inches in length that I had to cut down, and then we just simply nail them into place at the 9 foot mark, or about the 9 foot mark, and that's what makes up the ceiling. So we got, I think, about 24 of those to put in, something like that, all the way across the top of the ceiling, and that will really close in the room once we get completed with that. Here you can see a close-up view of the 2x6s going into place here where they are going to hold up the ceiling drywall. And you can also notice that I cut them at an angle on each end so I can get them into place correctly, and then also give me enough surface area to put the deck screws in that are holding each one of these up. I believe we're at, I think it's 9 foot and 9 foot 1 1/4, because we have 3/4 inch plywood, 3/4 inch hardwood floors going in, and then a 1/2 inch of drywall on the top of the ceiling, which makes up 1 1/4 inches, thus giving us 9 foot clear for the floor to ceiling. Here you can see we are progressing quite nicely throughout the room with getting those ceiling joists up, and we're just going to continue on here. You'll also notice that there is a light above where the ceiling joists are, and that's just the bonus room spare light that they use to light the area. That whole system is going to be moved down below. We will show you some of that here in one of the next series. And essentially what's going to happen there is that those are going to be the junction boxes for the 2 ceiling fans that we're going to be putting in here. Here's another view of the joists progressing quite nicely throughout the bonus room. I don't know, we've got maybe a dozen, maybe 15 in at this point, and we've got about 2/3 complete, so we're going to continue on getting these cut down and put into place. Here you can see that we've gotten very close to the end of where all the joists are going to go in, and you can really see at this point, and even at this early stage, the room starting to take shape of what it's going to look like. It's going to be quite a nice sized room for everything that we're going to be putting in here, and once we get the studs up also, which is forthcoming, you'll see the room really start to take shape as we continue on. Here's a view looking from the opposite side towards the door to Narnia, and we are also just about at the end of the joists going into the ceiling. And again, just another view looking from the opposite end. You can still see my chop saw there that's putting the angle cuts on each end so we can secure them correctly into the ceiling. And we're just continuing on as needed. And then finally we get to the end of the ceiling joists, and if I remember correctly, I ended up stopping here for the time being because I had to measure where the walls for the closet have to be, and then I can adjust the ceiling joist accordingly. But that's where we ended up. So we've got like 2 more to go here, maybe 3 more. But once we get the walls situated for where the closet's going to be, that's going to determine how I put these into place. And then the next video that you're going to see here is what the baffling is all about. We are completed with the ceiling joists, as you can see here. Let's take a gander down here. You can see all the ceiling joists here are in place. And going back towards the entrance, they're all in place all the way down. We spent all day over the last couple of days taking care of this. And we are at a ceiling height to the bottom of these joists of 9 foot 1 1/4. The reason why that's so odd is because On the flooring, we're going to put 3/4 inch hardwood floors. And then there's going to be a 1/2 inch ceiling drywall on the ceiling, which makes 1 1/4. So when everything is done and finished, we'll have a true ceiling height of 9 feet, which is exactly where we want to be. But first, before we even get to that, we've got to add baffling and insulation into here, into these roof joists. So this is your typical baffling, as I mentioned in one of my previous videos. If you look closely, it has a little channel in it. And what will happen here is this baffling will sit in between these joists. It'll create a little bit of a channel underneath. And then what happens is this insulation will sit on top of the baffling. And what that does is it allows airflow from the eaves down there up through the baffling and into your attic space. And you absolutely want that because your house needs to breathe and it needs to get stale air out of the attic when it's flowing through the baffling up into the attic space. If you don't do that, then what will happen is you may be prone to stale air, which may cause moisture, which may cause mold at some point down the road. So that's why you want to have baffling. So I got a bunch of those there. They're going to go all the way down into the rafters, 12 feet up to the bottom of the joist here. And then it'll stop and then you'll have enough circulation in the attic. So that's baffling. So another update is coming soon. Until then, peace out.